Do you want your car to look clean, but you're too lazy to spend a whole afternoon washing it? What if I told you that you could wash your car using 3 products, 1 bucket, no hose, and you could do it in less than an hour? Probably. Well, in this video, I'm going to share the exact process to wash, clay bar, and seal a vehicle in the least amount of time with minimal work. So you can go back to spending time with your family or playing video games or whatever it is that you do. For the past 20 years, I've detailed cars both as a hobby and professionally, and I'm obsessed with finding ways to either get better results or get the same results in less time. The truth is, it can seem overwhelming to set up a pressure washer and a foam cannon and fill up a bunch of buckets and grab multiple products just to get your car clean again. So, let's simplify it. Now, of course, I gotta add a little disclaimer here. I would never do something like this on my super easy to scratch MR2. Probably not the 4Runner either, unless it was just dusty. This process is for a specific type of car owner and a specific type of car. It really comes down to one question. Can you tell the difference between these 2 cars that I've worked on in the past? If they both look clean and glossy to you, then keep watching. And if the swirl marks in the Subaru bother you, then this is not for you. Head over to this video for a much more in-depth but safer process to wash your car. Also, sign up for my weekly newsletter if you want more tips to make your car look better and last longer. There's a link down below for you. It's totally free and people are loving it lately. Here's the thing. Despite things like paint correction and ceramic coatings being talked about commonly all across social media these days, the average car owner can't actually tell the difference between paint that has been polished to perfection and paint that's just glossy. I hear what you're saying. Will this method scratch the paint? Maybe, but maybe not. We're gonna make this as safe as possible, but do not do this on a car with perfect paint that you really care about, just in case. The key to this whole thing is using a rinseless wash product. So I'm using Optimum No Rinse here. This is sort of my go-to, but pretty much any rinseless wash is gonna do the trick for you. Next, we're gonna need a clay bar. And technically this is sort of an optional step, but removing any bonded contaminants from the surface is gonna help your wax or your sealant to last longer. But traditional clay bars like this one can be time consuming to use because you have to keep on kneading them, finding a new side that's fresh and clean. And not to mention, if you drop it on the ground, it's garbage. So you're being a little bit cautious while you're working. You can't go super fast. So today we're gonna be using a synthetic alternative like this sponge here from Nanoskin. It has this sort of sticky rubber surface on it, and it does the same job almost as well, but it's quicker and easier to use. And finally, we want to add some protection to the paint once we're done. Obviously, a proper wax or sealant or ceramic coating will perform the best. But since we're in a time crunch here, I'm going to use a spray wax or a sealant instead. This is a ceramic spray sealant from Suds Lab that I've been testing lately, and I'm hoping it'll last longer than a spray wax, but we'll see. The condition of the paint on the taco here is far from perfect, so that makes it a great candidate for this process. Honestly, if I wanted this truck to look anywhere remotely close to perfect, it would need a complete respray, so we don't have much to lose here. And for research purposes, let's take a little before and after look at the condition of the paint, specifically on the tailgate, because I replaced that a couple of years ago, which means the paint on it is much fresher than the rest of the truck that's pretty trashed. So I've pulled the truck into the garage here to get an accurate look for swirl marks on the paint job because we can't tell much out in the daylight. And what I did was I turned off all the lights out here in the garage and I'm just using my heartbreaker light here to get an idea of the condition. We're gonna have to look through the dirt a little bit because obviously we haven't washed it yet. But this is gonna show us whether we've put any new swirl marks into the paint at all. So if we come around here, we can see there's some bigger scuffs here and there just from using it like a pickup truck, but honestly, I think I see more orange peel from the paint job in this than any swirl marks. There's really hardly any swirl marks at all in this, at least that are visible. So let's keep this in mind, and we're gonna do this again and check after we're done washing the truck to see if we've put any new marks in this paint job. So let's take a look at the condition of the truck here to begin with, and I will admit, first of all, that this thing is way dirtier than anything that I've ever done this process on before, so this will be a pretty good test to see what kind of results we can get. I haven't washed this truck in, well, it's been a couple of months really, and it sits outside all the time. First thing that we're seeing here is we've got some bird poop that is like baked right on. This is probably etched into the clear coat. That's not good. You shouldn't be leaving that on there, guys. Don't be like me. Aside from that, the rest of the truck just has like a really thick layer of dirt on it, just from daily driving. I've been taking this thing for dump runs and stuff lately, and we got some really brown looking tires. We're gonna clean those up. The wheels are gonna get cleaned up as well. This is definitely not gonna be one of those videos where we're cleaning an already clean vehicle. This thing is definitely in need of some TLC. So I've got about 2 gallons of water in my bucket here, and I have my rinseless wash. 1 capful of this stuff is good for a gallon of water. So 2 capfuls, we'll be good to go. Then I have the same rinseless wash in a spray bottle here. This is diluted as the clay lubricant though, so it's a little bit stronger. And this is what we're gonna spray on the panel first to get it slippery and to encapsulate the dirt before we touch it. Also, rather than using a wash mitt, I'm gonna be using individual microfiber towels. I'm gonna throw these in here, get them soaking, and I'm also gonna toss in my clay sponge here and get it softening up a little bit. Now this is gonna be my separate drying towel that I finish off with. So for starters, we're gonna take our pre-rinse spray here that we mixed up. Again, this is our quick detailer dilution. And we're gonna spray down the entire panel. I wanna get it fairly wet with this. This is gonna encapsulate the dirt that's on there. It's gonna lubricate the surface. Now we're gonna come over to our bucket here, grab one of our fresh towels, and our towels never go back into the bucket. That's how we avoid scratching, because any of the dirt that's coming off of the truck is not going back into the bucket. I'm gonna go ahead and wipe this down. We're not using any pressure at all, just lightly wiping the surface. And you wanna pay attention to when your towel gets dirty looking, and then you just wanna flip over to a nice, fresh, clean side. So, it's starting to get a bit dirty there. So I'm gonna flip it over. Obviously you wanna go top to bottom, just like any other time that you're washing a car. Normally, we could just wipe this off because that's what makes the rinseless in a rinseless wash. We don't have to hose this off like a soap. We can just wipe this off and it's done. But we're gonna throw in that extra step of clay barring it. So we're gonna do that right now. We're gonna get our rinse bottle again because we're gonna wet the surface again just to be extra safe. And just like with everything else, no pressure at all. We're just lightly rubbing the surface. Once again, we could dry this off if we wanted to, but we're not quite ready yet because we're gonna add some protection to this. Just do maybe 1-2 mists per panel, and then we can dry this off and kind of buff it to perfection. Now, what about the wheels? Surely you've got to use a hose to clean these, right? Well, I'm not gonna. So, for starters, I'm gonna do an extra step here that most people aren't necessarily gonna have to do. I'm gonna clean these tires because they're turning brown. They haven't been cleaned for so long. So I'm gonna hit them with a degreaser. And then I'm gonna scrub them with a regular tire brush here. Now, is this the best way of cleaning tires? No, of course not, but we're not using a hose here. We gotta work with what we've got. Next up, I'm gonna grab a towel from my wash bucket, but this is not the same as my other ones. This one never touches my paint. This is just for wheels. You can use brushes and stuff if you want to, but I find using a towel is easy enough to be able to fit into all the little spots that I want to fit into. The one selling point to using a microfiber towel though is the microfibers are actually going to pick up the dirt and hold it in the towel, versus using a brush, you're just gonna kind of move the dirt around instead of picking it up and off of the surface. So I would argue that this works a little bit better if you have a wheel design that you can actually touch and reach everything by hand. Okay, now our wheel is clean and we can wipe it off now, but once again, one more extra step. We're gonna hit it with our ceramic spray. Even on satin black wheels like this, it's not gonna make them gloss black or anything all of a sudden. You can get away with it just fine. So maybe 2 sprays. We have a separate drying towel here. And there we go. We've got nice, clean, dry wheels. No more brake dust on them. And they got a little bit of protection on them too now with the ceramic spray.
Let's take a look at the clock here. It's 3:43 p.m. So let's see how long it takes me to do the rest of the truck. I was planning on doing this in direct sunlight just to really aggravate the nerds out there, but by the time I got started, I had some pretty decent shade on the driveway. Rest assured, you can do this in the sun if you need to. If the rinseless wash dries on a panel, don't worry, just wet it again with your spray bottle. This will reactivate it, and the stuff won't leave a residue behind if it dries like a soap would. As you can see, this is a pretty stress-free process. I forgot my drying towel in the garage, but I have plenty of time to go get it. I'm not worried about the surface drying at all. For the areas with the bird poop, I'm going to purposely loosen it up with the pre-rinse, then use sort of a scooping motion with the towel to pick it up. It's important to flip your towel to a clean side as soon as it starts getting dirty. That way you're not grinding the dirt all over the rest of your paint job. It's also important to keep wiping your clay sponge clean because if it's pulling contaminants out of the paint, you don't want to scrub them across all the other panels. Just a quick wipe with the towel is all you need. You can get away with using a single drying towel for this. When it stops absorbing water, you can just wring it out and keep going. As long as your washing process is working properly, it shouldn't get very dirty at all. You can even use a lighter color towel for drying as sort of a quality control method to make sure you're getting the surface clean. If nothing is showing up on your drying towel, you know your rinseless wash is working. You can use the same products and process on your windows, and here's a little tip. Glass is much harder to scratch than paint, so you can prioritize all of the painted surfaces first. What I mean by that is, if your towel is getting dirty, you can still use it on your glass before switching it out. That saves a fresh towel for your paintwork. So if you're concerned that you might not have enough towels or product in your spray bottle, save your windows for last since they're much more forgiving.
Hi, buddy.
This was actually a really good time to use this method because this was a super windy day. Using a pressure washer in this kind of weather would soak me and everything around me. In comparison, you can do this process right next to another car without getting a drop of water on it if you want to. Alright, time check. That was 29 minutes for the body, but we still have to clean the wheels and tires. Let's keep going. Also, don't forget to hydrate. Normally I clean the wheels first because I don't want to get overspray on the freshly cleaned paint, but since we aren't using a hose, we don't have to worry about that. So feel free to save the wheels for the end if you want to. Final time check, it's 4:22 p.m., which means this entire truck just took me 39 minutes, with a GoPro blocking half of my view. Not too shabby.
Alright guys, here's the end result. The truck is clean, and remember, we did not use a hose at all for this entire thing. And because I'm a bit of a fancy boy, I did put some tire shine on just to give it an extra little touch at the end here. Paint is clean, shiny, fairly smooth to the touch. Bird poop is gone. Windows are clean, clay barred. Got some nice gloss and reflections in this thing again. The question that we've all been wondering, did I just scratch my paint? Do I have swirl marks in the tailgate now? Let's pull it into the garage for one final check and see if we caused any damage. All right, it's time for the moment of truth. And just so we're clear, you guys can see this is indeed after the fact because we've got tire shine on the tires and the paint is now nice and clean and shiny. So let's take a look at the tailgate and see exactly like we did last time, what kind of swirl marks we've added. Well, I don't know about you, but I see nothing. We do have the same scuffs up top, so those haven't changed obviously, but that shows that this light will show scratches and swirl marks if they're present, and they're not present down here. After all of that, if you're still a little uncomfortable with this process and you'd like to make it way safer without adding a whole lot of time, you just have to change one thing here. And that's just to rinse the vehicle down with a hose or a pressure washer before you start washing it. Just rinsing off the dirt and stuff before you ever touch the paint makes a huge difference in terms of avoiding scratches and swirl marks. I'll let you in on a little secret here. That's how I wash the trucks like 90% of the time. I very rarely will break out the foam cannon and the soap unless they're really dirty. Here's the thing, you can put swirl marks in your paint job using any of the safe wash methods if you're not careful. As a matter of fact, in last week's newsletter, I shared how the traditional 2-bucket wash method can actually scratch your paint. The bad news is, unless you were already signed up, you missed it. The good news is, I usually publish the previous emails about a week after the members get them, so you can check out the older issues at the link below. And if you find that you still want to use a pressure washer and a foam cannon, watch this video next for a deeper dive into car washing.